Welcome back to Fast Talk, this week's edition, as we wrap up our conversation in Las Vegas and the Hendrick domination out there in the desert. I'm Alan Cavanna, filling in for Doug Rice, who's still hitting those jackpots himself out on the blackjack table. I hope. Bring us some money, Doug. Bring us some money. But I'm happy to be here, filling in, joined by our special guest, Jeff Hammond, and PRN's Alexis Erickson. We've talked a lot about Vegas. That is the second leg of the West Coast trip that NASCAR makes. Heading to Phoenix, though. Heading to Phoenix with a lot changing since the last time we were there in November. NASCAR, not too long ago, announced they have something of a short track package or a new package for tracks that are mile or Phoenix size, if you will, and below. And this will be the first time we get to see that, and the first time the Cup Series gets to start filling that notebook for the championship race in November. I can't think of a more important weekend, Jeff, because of what it will mean in November that you can start learning now. How do you look at Phoenix?
Opportunity. I think, here's an opportunity to take what we've learned during the off season and apply it in competition form. So we're going to get an idea real quick. And I know everybody worked extremely hard on the NASCAR side of it, as well as the teams and the manufacturers coming up with the package change this time that we haven't seen in competition. So the term balance, we're going to find out where the balance is. Is it still as sensitive? And then what do you do to counteract it with your spring and your shock setups and everything else that goes into the mechanical grip area?
I posed the question in the previous segment about, now that teams have had a full year under their belt with being able to assess this next-gen car, are we going to see a lot more domination? I don't think we're going to see that this weekend, especially because of the fact that we have this new package, smaller spoiler, less downforce. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what teams take to that. And if it puts on a better show, I certainly hope that it does. There's no doubt about the fact that we have struggled putting on good shows on short tracks with this car. And so hopefully this is going to be something that will get us some more action on those speedways. We'll just have to kind of see how it plays out.
And that's the goal. But then I think of it from the team's perspective. And look, last year, 2022, they had 1 year of normal, right? We had some years there where there was the 550 horsepower package, and then some races were the different horsepower package, right? So some teams excelled at one, some teams excelled at the other. 2022, everything was the same just about for every race, right? I mean, no, you didn't have to worry about different setups, different packages, all these different things. We're already back to that, Jeff. And I just think about the teams that are trying to excel at one thing, and now you have some tracks where week to week, things may change. And some drivers, some teams may excel at the short track package. Where do you want to put your efforts, right? If a win in Phoenix wins you a championship, shouldn't all your efforts go to being the best team, the best performing team at a short track package? Do all the other tracks fly out the window, right? When you want to put your resources and your research, Alexis disagrees with me vehemently.
Well, that's the reason why I'm not shaking my head, because she's shaking it so vigorously for both of us, because I hate to tell you this, if I was a crew chief, I'd walk down there right now and wash your mouth out with soap. Because every race is important.
I think I'm onto something.
You're pointing something out, but at the same time, this is not something that we don't deal with year in and year out. When you know your finale is going to be raced here, you put a lot more emphasis on what and how you maybe assemble and accumulate all your data, but you don't totally just forget the next week when we go to Atlanta, I need to be more worried about Atlanta. You worry about each and every race coming up equally, because somewhere along the way in NASCAR, you usually go back to those racetracks. So, you have a responsibility to always come away with more than when you got there as far as information. And that's the reason why you have engineering staffs that sometimes outnumber your mechanical and fabricators in a shop, because they're the guys that's going to figure this stuff out between now and the time we come back in November. This upcoming weekend will be huge. But more importantly, we've got other races that this package is already deemed and on the calendar for. Excuse me. So you need to make sure that you learn from this, figure out where that balance point, balance. Once again, that should be the word of the year. Balance, and redefining where the balance really is with this new race car, with the new changes that have been brought out by NASCAR and supposedly, okay, by the teams.
Where does the road to Phoenix go through?
Las Vegas.
It goes through all the
Martinsville.
racetracks. Yes.
Short track.
Short track, sure. It goes through road courses. It goes through super speedways. It goes through all types of racetracks. And there are only 4 drivers 4 drivers that make it to Phoenix with a chance to win the championship. So if you're not good at all those other types of racetracks, you are not going to be one of those 4 drivers. You talked about in an earlier segment how you were worried for Chase Elliott not being able to get those playoff points, because those were going to be big in the playoffs. So if you're not good, if you're not racing good at these other types of racetracks and accumulating those points, then you're going to have a really hard time even making it to Phoenix with a chance to win the championship.
I hear what you're saying, but I assure you, again, back when they had the 550 and the 700 horsepower package, there were teams that punted on the 700 package because the 550 was the way to the championship. And I just feel like the team, especially the teams that already have a win, like a William Byron, maybe Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they've got work to do. But when some of these teams start accumulating their win, getting their playoff spot assured and concrete and, in stone, there will be teams that focus just on the path to a championship. And I know that includes all the tracks, but when we have a difference in which track and which package you use to win that championship, I think there will be some specialization.
Perhaps.
Silence from the crew chief.
Perhaps.
Well,
I've stunned them into silence.
No, I don't want to put you down, but I'm going to put you down because you've never walked in those shoes that you just made it sound like you had.
My shoes are very clean.
Yes. I know. So that's the problem. You got to get down in the crap if you're going to learn how all this stuff here works out. And you've got to go at the idea that you have to be your best each and every week. And you take whatever your competitors give you, because otherwise, if you don't take it, they're going to take it back from you. So it's going to be this battle. And this is what I love about where we are is we have this, everybody wants to be speculating and looking way out. There are hardcore facts about NASCAR racing that will never, ever change. You start in Daytona and you end at a racetrack where the determining champion will be crowned. Doesn't matter where it is or what it is, whether we're at Homestead or whether we're at Phoenix. Getting there is the main thing. You got to get there first. You got to win a race. So you got to be able to win at all the racetracks. If it winds up being you're really good at super speedways, yeah, you need to be the best you can be there. Take advantage of it. But every place that we used to have a philosophy. If you're weak at a racetrack, work on it more than you do the ones that you're good at, because you need to be good at all of them.
I got the crowd fired up at the right time because our green flag, black flag segment is coming up next. Stay with us. This is Fast Talk.